Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world. Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant, and welcome to Small Business School Goes to Main Street. Several of our programs come to you from rejuvenated historic business districts. Since 1980, the National Trust for Historic Preservation's Main Street programs have generated billions of dollars in physical improvements, tens of thousands of new businesses, and hundreds of thousands of net new jobs. We're going to Libertyville, Illinois, just 25 miles north of Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Libertyville's Main Street program has won the Great American Main Street Award. Much of the work to revitalize historic business districts has been done by small business owners. Today, you'll meet Pat Elmquist and Bill Sugars, owners of Mickey Finn's. It's been a drinking establishment for over 100 years. It's Saturday night in downtown Libertyville.
The good thing about the stout, it's very creamy, it's very smooth.
Mickey Finn's is popping as it is every night, and even with a recent expansion, customers still wait in line. This very spot in Libertyville has a long history as a tavern, but this latest version of Mickey Finn's is the creation of two corporate dropouts, Pat Elmquist and Bill Sugars. And it's bigger and probably better than it's ever been. Pat tells us how he became a pub owner.
I was on my way home from Los Angeles, and I stopped at Mickey Finn's on the way home for a bite to eat. And some friends were here, and we had dinner, and we were chatting. And I think I alluded to the fact that I'm looking for something to do other than what I'm doing. And one of them said, "Why don't you buy this place?" And I said, "I didn't know it was for sale." I said, "I don't even know who owns it." So I looked at it for a month and a half at least. And the more I looked, the more I got interested. So I finally went home to my wife and I said, "I think I found something I'm interested in." She says, "What?" I said, "Mickey Finn's." She said, "Oh my God, a saloon?
A saloon?
Why would you do that?"
Pat.
3 months later, I owned it. So that's what happened.
And Diane still stayed married.
And she's still with me.
Pat was happy with the pub, then Bill came along with ideas for expansion.
Pat's reputation in the community with Mickey Finn's was one of excellent burgers, chicken sandwiches, pita bread sandwiches, wings, and Mexican food. The problem with this place, and you can see this building, this was it. It seated 62 people, it was always full. People would walk in, turn around, walk out. So in doing my market research, Libertyville actually came out to be the third best market I looked at behind Seattle and the Bay Area. And I didn't want to go back to those large metropolitan areas.
In the research, how did you know this was the third best place? What questions were you asking?
Well, I did a demographic profile of 13 markets dealing with income, industry, corporate and private, education, beer consumption, etc. And I contacted all of the economic development corporations that were in those communities, along with the chambers of commerce. And Libertyville actually came out to be the third best market I looked at because it had and may still have the highest disposable income of any county in the United States. That's Lake County, because of the corporations that are in this area. So I was driving down Milwaukee Avenue, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got 13 markets, 3 that look really good. Libertyville is third. I'm driving across, I see the park, look across the street, I see Mickey Finn's, I see the empty lot next door, and I say, why go someplace where nobody knows me and try and sell somebody? Can you imagine walking in a restaurant that's successful and telling somebody who doesn't even know me from Adam, I want you to go into really big debt with me, and I want to change the whole focus of your restaurant. And I said, well, chances of me going out west and finding somebody willing to do that is real slim. I knew Pat, we were casual friends, And I came in one day after I finished my business plan and marketing plan and said, Pat, I said, I have an idea. I said, you always have a problem because you can't serve all your customers, okay? So what if we bought the land next door, build a brew pub, a microbrewery, expand the restaurant, and open this place up to all the community, people that want to come in here.
He said, I have an idea. Would you have a few minutes someday? So we picked a time. He came in, and we talked for an hour or so. And I knew nothing about the microbrew market, the brew pub market.
So we went and visited a few in the area.
And the more I read, and the more I talked to him, and the more we discussed the demographics here, it started to make sense.
And then we went to Colorado and visited all the brew pubs that were starting up there.
So I know what you were doing. You were getting him fired up.
Absolutely, and it worked.
We went to 10 brew pubs. After about the third one, I knew this was it. Let's go for it. So we came back and I said, if we can get the lot next door, let's do it. So we negotiated for the lot, and the rest is history. We mortgaged everything we had. I got a little bit of private money from family.
And so we talked to 5 banks that called us, 3 of which we kicked out right away because they had no vision. They're the traditional bankers. You walk in, you give them this business plan this thick with all the pro forma, all the numbers, 2 years of research, and they say, okay, well, you tell us the worst case scenario. And that's all they were worried about. I said, no, I want a bank that has vision, that understands what we're doing here, what we're bringing to the community. And there were 2 banks that had that vision. And we ended up going with First America. And they were right across the street at the time. And they helped us secure an SBA loan. We had the business loan for the brewing equipment, the furniture, fixtures from the bank, the building loan for the building, which we paid through Mark Loeb, who was our builder, then the 2 personal guaranteed loans plus the Main Street, okay?
All right, any regular guy would go, oh my gosh, can I handle this on my shoulders?
That didn't scare you?
Well, no, it didn't. Having spent 25 years in sales, I'm pretty much people-oriented. And so really, and a lot of the customer base here was local people, a lot of people I knew. So it wasn't like starting a new venture, particularly. It was a new way of making a living, but I was really excited about it.
Again, I'm very fortunate. Both Pat and I have wives who are very confident in
I know,
our
they cut up their
ability.
Neiman Marcus credit card, said, we won't use these for 2 years.
Yeah, they looked and said, you guys are crazy, but if you really believe in it, you know, they backed us 100%. We had absolutely no problem there.
So when you went to the bank and got all these loans to do all this expansion, what did Diane say?
She says, do you realize we're 50 years old and we now own nothing? I said, sweetheart, you can't look back, baby. It's done. She said, you know, most guys in your position couldn't sleep. I said, it's too late.
He actually let you come in and have a part of his restaurant.
Yeah, because he saw the opportunity. He knew that he was closed in.
He was at the edge. He couldn't
Right.
do anymore.
There wasn't any much more he could do because there was no more space. And the bar needed some renovation, and he wanted to provide some more food items, which he couldn't do. The kitchen was down there.
Tiny.
We had a little 50-square-foot kitchen, very small menu. But even then, our food was the #1 attraction.
One thing that was devoid in this market was good handcrafted beer. And when I was doing consulting work after I left corporate America for Abbott Laboratories, I was traveling around the United States, and I would always book myself into cities that had brew pubs or microbreweries.
So you were doing research for 7 or 8 years before.
Actually, it was about a 2-year time period that when I left Shearing Plow in 1990, I spent the next 2 years putting the business plan, marketing plan together. And I would go visit brew pubs and microbreweries in the morning, and I'd do my consulting work in the afternoon and evenings. And there's 4 things that make this business work. Location, we have the best location in Lake County. You've got 28,000 cars a day that go up and down Milwaukee
How do
Avenue.
you know that?
By surveys, traffic surveys.
Okay.
That's available. Anybody can get that type of information from their Economic Development Council or their Chamber of Commerce. They do traffic surveys all the time. So that's #1. #2 is consistency and quality of food for a value. The same thing for beer, consistency and quality of beer. And the 4th is staffing.
Brewmeister Ryan Ashley is critical to the success of the brewery, and he's not the first one in his family to mix magic in a brew house.
We make, on an annual basis, about 25 different styles of beer. We typically have between 5 and 8 styles that stay on a pretty regular basis, and then there's other seasonal rotations.
And if we want to taste this, when could we taste this?
Since this is a lager, it's going to be about a month to a month and a half. This has been my passion for quite a few years. Actually, this is how I spent my time when I wasn't working or studying. It started off as a hobby. It's been in my family blood. You know, during Prohibition, everyone was a bootlegger. And
In your family?
in my family. Both
Really?
sides of the family, yeah. It's my hobby gone awry. Now it's my work. Now I need a new hobby.
All of our staff is required to go through specific training. We don't make them go to weekly meetings, but we have training sessions that deals with customer service. They have to be able to describe the beers and the menu items. And we have a rule here. When you come into Mickey Finn's to go to work, you leave your troubles outside.
How do you find people that do that well? Because you don't have time to teach people that.
No, I think when we hire people, we're very specific on who we hire. They have to have a certain personality, because you can't teach people to be, they don't have to be funny per se, but they have to be pleasant. They have to have a smile. They have to be willing to interact. And I know one of the other things I was getting at just a minute ago was body language is extremely important.
So when you interview, do you look for those things?
Absolutely.
You're looking for people to, like, eye contact?
Absolutely. And people that will read my body signals and give me feedback on that, because if they can't read my body signals, they're not going to be able to read a customer's body signals. If all they're worried about is regurgitating our menu and giving them a beer sample sheet and say, here's our beers, rather than try and romance it.
Right.
You know, we make all of our beers on premise, and this chart describes each of our beers. What style of beer do you usually drink? And if they say a Heineken, they say a Miller Lite, we can then take that information and translate it to our beer sheet. So we give them plenty of tools, but they have to be able to understand the ability to read the customer. For example, you're walking through the restaurant. Customers are looking around like this. They want something. They're not just doing that. So you have to be attentive and observant and be able to react to that need, because that's what separates us from all the other restaurants. So they have to be able to react to my manager's body language and my body language, because the two things, like I was saying, first of all, customers don't like to feel rushed. Number two is they hate to be ignored. And if you're busy, all you have to do is someone to say, I'll be with you in just a minute. I said, here's a beer sheet, here's a menu, give me a few minutes, we're really busy, I'll get right back to you. But when you walk right by and ignore their like this or their like this, it irritates them.
So what you're looking for in the interview is someone who's sensitive to all these things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our people make good money. Pat and I treat them very, very well. We have a very relaxed environment here. Some restaurants have been known to sort of be a slave driving mentality. Well, Pat and I made a promise. We both came from corporate America, Pat from the plastics industry, me from healthcare, that we weren't going to create that corporate environment here. All we ask is when people are here, they give us the same effort that we give this place. When they leave, they're on their own. But while they're here, they have a responsibility to the business and to the customer.
So the teaching point here is don't just run out and start a business.
No, because you're destined to fail. Unless you're extremely fortunate, you fall into something that you might as well win the lottery. See, I don't believe luck. Luck is a word. Luck is being ready to take advantage of opportunities that present themselves. And for probably about 8 years, I've always been dabbling with ideas on what would I do if I wasn't doing this. And there came a time, I was about 40, 42, 43, and the opportunities came to me that I was fed up with corporate America.
But what was that?
Well,
yeah, what was that?
The frustration of dealing with a hierarchy that is very much in tune with bottom line profits and not really too worried about long range planning. And everyone goes through a stage. I went through the stage where that was very important. My late 20s and 30s, you know, position, title, perks was very important.
And now you come to work in shorts and tennis
Absolutely.
shoes.
This is my outfit, my hat. That's my trademark.
Here are two men who were willing to take their idea to the bank and the SBA and the Main Street program. When Mickey Finn's was doing under $500,000 in sales, these two signed personally on 5 large loans. Today, with over $3 million in sales, this brew pub is proof that with an infusion of capital for a well-researched idea, entrepreneurs can grow a business and create jobs. Pat and Bill have realized their dream to provide a meeting place for Libertyville and to bring nightlife to a once quiet downtown. Because of small business owners who have courage and vision, Main Street projects everywhere are thriving and changing the face of America.
At smallbusinessschool.org, there is self-study help for people who want to start a business and for those who want to grow the business they have. From the home page, choose Pathways to Self-Study.
Our license allows us to sell beer to go, so customers who enjoy the beer they drink with dinner can take a little bit home, a little bit of Mickey Finn's home with them after the evening. For us, it's a way to advertise our name and our product out in the community at a very low cost. People have a real misconception of the cash flow necessary to run a business, whether it be a restaurant, a furniture store, a coffee shop, ice cream parlor. The labor, the taxes, the upkeep, the maintenance. Our maintenance, repair and maintenance on this place, we're open 7 days a week, about 355 days a year, is probably 30% higher than I could have estimated because of the wear and tear. I mean, we get on a busy week, we'll have 8,000 to 10,000 people come through here, and you know they all walk on the floors, they all plop down the chairs.
They all flush the toilets.
Flush the toilets, and
Lots
I
of beer.
am chief of the plungers.
You're chief of the plungers?
Yeah, that's my job.
You do toilets?
I do toilets. I don't do windows, but I do toilets. But they don't understand the hands-on, and one thing that works very well with Pat and I in this partnership is that we're both here all the time.
You mean somebody's here all the time?
Right. Well, yeah, right. We're not both here all the time.
An owner is here all the time.
I'd say 80% of the time. The only time we'll try and duck out is during slow periods, or maybe we'll sneak a weekend in.
So how do you do that?
Well, one week I work nights, next week I work days, and then Pat works the opposite of me.
Okay, so that's why you both have a feel for how the business is going
Absolutely.
in those time frames.
And we have a very good management staff, and they're very capable, and we entrust them with the day-to-day operations. But what makes this business unique in this business, brewpub business or restaurant business, is owners. Customers like to see your owners, your staff likes to see the owners, that we're not afraid to bust tables, take out trash, plunge toilets, get behind the grill if we have to. I mean, that really is critical in this particular business. And one thing that we've done is we've been requested by several communities to, why don't you come down and build another Mickey Finn's? You can't be two places at once. And our goal in doing this, and people don't believe me, but isn't tied into money. It really isn't. Okay, there's two basic reasons Pat and I did this. First of all, we really believe in this community, and it's really satisfying to give something to a community to see the community respond back. That's really neat. I'm an Army brat, and I used to move every 3 to 4 years. I really had no roots. And it's so neat now. I've been here almost 10 years. You walk down the street, you wave, and it sounds sort of hokey, like
Hey,
Mayberry
Bill.
RFD.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
you know what? This is that type of community, and it makes for a very pleasant living experience. And number two is giving the community, get something back. Number two is just the sheer joy of doing something that everyone thought you were crazy to do. Everyone said, why are you going to mess with Mickey Finn's? It'll never work.
So your corporate buddies, the ones that are about your age, and you've got a little gray hair, you're 50 something.
51.
It sounds like, I mean, I would think that they're winding down and you're winding up.
Yeah, I think the thing that's important for people to realize is you'll know when it's your time to do something different. You can't, there's no formula. You can't say you're 36, you're 42, you're 45. I had a lot of people come in and say, I really admire what you and Pat did. You had the chutzpah to go out there and take this risk and take this jump. Well, first of all, it wasn't as risky as people think. Yes, it's a restaurant, but the brew pub failure rate's like 1/6 of what the restaurant failure rate is. Secondarily, we had a lot of background data that knows, barring a catastrophe or a complete collapse of the economy, we're going to be okay. Not as good as we're doing now, but our worst case scenario was pretty good. So the risk wasn't as high as everyone thought it was. But I think the thing is, Pat knew when his time was right to leave corporate life and buy the bar in 1990. I knew when my time was right, and everyone will know. There just comes a time in your life when you say, I gotta do something. I don't want to be doing this when I'm 65 years old. There's tons of resources out there, but you gotta be willing to ask questions. Most people are looking for they're looking for something to land in their lap. They'll read these magazines about franchises and the get-rich-quick schemes on TV, these infomercials. Nothing's free. Nothing comes that's worthwhile unless you're willing to bust your rear end. And I tell my kids that. I tell all the people that come in wanting ideas and want us to help them get started. And I say, well, are you willing to do this, that? Do you have X amount of dollars? Do you have the financing? Well, no. I said, well, when you do, come back and we'll talk. But there's no such thing as a free ride.
I mean, we talked to so many corporate people that come in and they were tired of the same things we were. But it's a real big commitment, not only personally, but when you have a wife involved and kids going to college, it's got to be a passion that you don't look back, and you've got to have that type of mentality. Money just doesn't necessarily do it. You can be creative with financing, but when you have to put your back to the wall, like Bill and I did, 100%, it takes a special type of person.
Are you going to be brewing beer when you're 65?
I'll be drinking it. My goal in life is to consistently drink beer for the rest of my life. And our beer, see, we have one good advantage with our beer. Even though the FDA won't let us put it on the labels, it actually, with no preservatives, no chemicals, no rice, no corn, there's 4 ingredients. It actually has a lot of vitamin B, vitamin C. Our oatmeal stout is like drinking breakfast. It's got oatmeal.
So it's your major food group, right?
It is, absolutely.
So what's in the future?
This is my future.
Mickey Finn's is part of a revitalized historic business district which has a mix of retail stores. I walked down the street to see Sue Montgomery, owner of Heartland Cornucopia.
Hey, Sue. Hi.
She told me about one of the marketing tools that is working for her and some of her colleagues.
We couldn't reach the people that we needed to on our own expenses. So we came together, all of us are a part of Main Street, and we developed this newsletter. For instance, our grand opening is in here. Or we all have coupons in the back.
Who do you mail this to?
We mail this to all of our customers and every resident of our town. And what we did is everyone consolidated their mailing list.
You mean you shared your list with
everybody? We shared
everyone?
our list with everybody.
Did you have fights over that or discussions?
Not at all. We knew that whoever shopped in my store was shopping in her store. And if we can reach one more person, then that's one more customer for me. So we brought all of that together. We have a huge database of probably about 40,000, and we trim it and decide what this issue is all about, and then we send it to the 25 that we can. And as we grow and add more businesses, we'll of course mail to more people.
So the word is collaboration, isn't it?
Definitely. You have to work together to make it happen.
Don't compete, collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
Is it working?
Definitely. It's the only advertising I do.
Since we met Bill and Pat, they've paid off their loans and the wives are breathing easy. They are always marketing. Some new programs include the Birthday Club, the Mug Club, and the e-newsletter. If you give your name, address, and birthday to Mickey Finn's, they'll mail you a birthday card with a coupon good for $5 off on your next meal with them. They have room for 120 members in their Mug Club, which costs $35 your first year and $25 for an annual renewal. You get a lovely handmade glass mug with your name etched on it. When you come in to have a beer, you pay the price of a pint, but you end up being served in your own mug, which is a good 8 to 10 ounces larger than a pint. Good deal. And customers who sign up get a weekly email from the brewmaster about all his newest creations. Remember, Bill and Pat have proved that with an infusion of capital for a well-researched idea, entrepreneurs can grow a business and create jobs. I'll see you next time.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business,
come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides.
The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be